We will now review the squid for those of you that are wanting a review of squid. So this guy's already been cut open. The tissue that's been wrapped around the squid that we had to cut in half to get to this view, what is the name of this tissue? That is the mantle. That is the key tissue that this organism has that puts him into the phylum that he belongs to. What's the name of the phylum of all organisms that have a mantle? No. Mollusca. Yes, good. This is the phylum Mollusca, and all organisms that fall into the phylum Mollusca have this mantle tissue. All organisms in the phylum Mollusca also have a structure, a muscular structure that is used for various purposes, including locomotion. What is the name of the muscular tissue here? Yes, this is the version of the foot that this squid has. Snails also have a foot. They actually crawl along it, and so they're in the class Gastropoda because their foot is on their belly. There's clams and mollusks and mussels that have a foot that they can use to dig with, and that they use to move food around inside their shells with. What's the name of the class that clams and mollusks, that clams and oysters and scallops and things like that belong to? Bivalvia, because they have two shells. And then this guy is in which class because his foot is by his head? No, the phylum Mollusca. Which class is he in because his foot is by his head? What's the head foot one? Cephalopoda. Good. Cephalopoda just means head foot, right? The foot is attached to the head. Okay, cool. There are two structures that are derived from the foot. There are these shorter ones, of which there are 10, and they have suction cups on them. What are these shorter ones called? Arms. These are arms. And then there are two longer tentacles. No. No. Wouldn't that have been cool? But no. Tentacles and arms. Okay? There's suction cups on all of them. The male squid, his tentacles are a little bit more developed. This is a female, but the male squid has a larger structure at the end because he uses it to reach into the mantle cavity of the female and place packets of sperm back there. This is a female. The tentacle does not have that specialized structure on it, but they do have suction cups. If you open up the arms of the squid, this has been removed out, but this structure was like this inside there. What is this whole thing called? The whole mouth part.
Something bulb.
It is something bulb. Does anybody remember what it's called? The buccal bulb. Buccal. Buccal means, well, or bacchus means mouth. So the buccal bulb, this is the ball thing that serves as his mouth. The buccal, B-U-C-C-A-L, bulb. When you cut the fleshy outer part, essentially his lips, when you cut those off, now you can see the hard structure back there, and that is the what? The beak. And this is the only part of the animal. That's not totally true. Never mind, I'm not going to say that. I was going to say this is the only part that is bilaterally symmetrical, but actually no, the whole animal is bilaterally symmetrical. So forget that I said that. So yeah, he has a beak, and this is the hardest part of the animal. In squid, there's a couple of other hard parts that limit the size of the hole he can squeeze through. But for octopi, They're cousins. The size of the beak limits the size of the hole that the octopus can squeeze himself through. If it's a smaller hole than his beak, he won't fit. If it's a bigger hole than his beak, he'll fit. And so octopi can get themselves through crazy little holes. If you've ever seen videos of them doing that. There you go. So the mantle used to be closed. We cut that open. At the ventral apex of this mantle cavity, there was this little opening that was also cut open. But what is the name of this structure here that the squid uses for locomotion? The water jet. Yeah. So what he'll do is he'll use the mantle to suck water in to this cavity, and then he'll pinch off the opening of the mantle around everything else and squeeze the water out the jet, forcing water this way and forcing the squid that way. So even though this is his head, he travels butt first most of the time. They can use their fins to swim in a head first direction, but frequently you will see squid backing up into their world. If you've ever seen them swimming around, they can swim head first, but most of the time they swim tail first. I think this is the group that removed. No, they didn't. So on either side, yeah, they did. I just don't know where it is. This is an eye. There would have been an eye here. Oh, the eye is still present on this side. So the eye is here. This is not a giant Pacific squid. This is a more normal sized squid. But what did I tell you about the about the colossal squid? What did I tell you about their eyes?
Biggest eye in the world.
Largest eye in creation. Biggest eye that there has ever been. Bigger than elephants, bigger than blue whales. The largest eye that there's ever been. So that's kind of cool. All right, when we opened this guy up, this structure was laying right here. What is that? Not the ink jet, the ink sac. The ink sac. And the water jet ink sac. What do the squid use the ink sac for? Yeah, both defense and to hide. So if you harass them, they will create a big plume of ink that comes out with the water that they squirt out to get away from you. So they'll squirt a bunch of water out to swim away, and then that water will be mixed with ink to kind of cloud where they go, and hopefully the predator doesn't see which direction they run away from. So that's kind of a cool defense mechanism. One of those neat things that God gave these animals to help defend themselves. So you open them up. We took the ink sac off and we popped it open and tried to write with it. And then there's these two feathery structures here, and they are pink because they've been injected with the arterial system has been injected with pink latex, so it shows up. What are these feathery structures that are so full of blood vessels? Those are the gills, right? Okay, good. And then when you follow the gills back, there is the union of the gills back here. There's a whole bunch of arteries that come together to this place. What is that structure? The gill what? The gill heart. Yes, the gill heart. This is the place where the gill blood that has been oxygenated is circulated around to the rest of the animal. There's a tube. I don't know if I can get it on the video. There is a tube that was attached to the back of the buccal bulb. I can't see it on this particular specimen. But what's the name of the tube that would have left out the back of the mouth? Not the anus. Yeah, that would be a really short digestive system. Mouth, butt. No. There's a tube called the esophagus, right? Same thing that we found in the worm. So the esophagus leads back. This is the stomach. So when this got cut open, this is just what was in its gut when it was killed. So this is the stomach. It's a very large stomach. And then the stomach kind of doubles back on itself, and up at the top, back up in here in the water jet area, is an opening that I am sticking my probe in. What is that opening? That is the anus, yes. He poops out right by the water jet. Kind of a cool design again. God did cool things. So if the animal is constantly bringing water in here and then squirting it out, this is a good place to poop, because it'll squirt all of the waste out away from the animal. It's kind of a cool thing to do. Bummer is it's right by its eyes and its mouth. I don't know what kind of taste or receptors it has up here, but glad I'm not the squid. So there's the heart, the lungs. These are digestive organs, sort of like your liver. They make some digestive juices that help with the digestion process. I didn't make you identify the different lobes of it. In the back of the animal is where you find the gonads. So this happens to be a female. This is a repository of eggs, and we cut the membrane a little bit back here, and so you can see all of the eggs. You see this in the video? Yeah. You can see all the eggs, and the eggs have kind of stuck to the inside of the fins and the cavity here. Hundreds and hundreds or thousands and thousands of eggs that were in this squid. The squid will lay an egg case, so she was building up an egg case to get ready to lay them. The way that they mate, and this isn't going to be on the test, it's just kind of cool, is she'll build this big egg case here that is just chock-a-block full of eggs. And then the male will put sperm packets at the end of his tentacles and reach up here and deposit the sperm packets, which will fertilize the eggs. As soon as they have mated, as soon as the male has deposited his sperm, he dies, so the male will be dead minutes later. The female then, when she lays the eggs, what happens is this massive egg case will come out the animal, and she'll use her tentacles to bury it in the sand, and then as soon as she's done with that, she dies. So reproducing the squid is mutually destructive. They don't survive it. They don't live to mate another year. So the whole goal of this squid's life is to develop the egg case and get it fertilized. And then once that's done, she'll bury the egg case, and that's the end of mom and dad. And that provides a huge food source to the ocean, because this is not a small animal. And they come together and mate at a particular time of year, and the male dies immediately. The female lives for like another 20 minutes till she buries the egg case, then she dies. And so there's all of these dead animals laying around the ocean floor where this happens. And sharks and scavengers will show up, and there's this huge buffet of dead squid, so calamari for everybody. So it's a huge food supply, and then the eggs hatch out later, and the next generation develops and goes. So it's an interesting thing, interesting design that God has made. So I think that we are good with the squid. Any questions on the squid? All right, cool. So those are the things that you will need to have for your